Welcome to The Voice of Survivors, a podcast that shares stories of strength and success after domestic violence from the Australian charity Broken to Brilliant. The charity was founded by domestic violence survivors, and our mission is to mentor fellow survivors who are creating a new chapter in their lives, helping them to rebuild after abuse.
And with me, so delightful to be sitting in a chair next to this incredible human is Kate Crowley-Smith, who is the founding director of Broken to Brilliant, which is a non-for-profit charity led by domestic violence survivors for survivors. With a background in nursing, health promotion and injury prevention, Kate designs trauma-informed mentoring programs that support long-term recovery. She also develops clinical education and implements statewide programs for Queensland Health, holding multiple qualifications, including a postgraduate certificate in domestic violence response. A survivor, a mother of two, Kate has supported her children in their business ventures while dedicating her life to empowering fellow survivors. Her mission is to create lasting change by helping survivors rebuild their lives and shifting community attitudes about domestic violence. It's such a pleasure to sit across from you. Hello, Kate.
Hi, Nicci. Thank you for having me.
You're like the planet of hope where unicorns are that is coming down to earth. I did, for listeners, Stepping Stones program, 8-week course, and apart from that life-changing moment when I saw the totem that I'd made. That's
the empowerment figure.
Oh, my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
A survivor of childhood family domestic abuse, which led up until 4 years ago. I don't like saying child because it also had the power until 4 years ago.
Mm.
And if I hadn't had the experience of this 8-week program, by far there wouldn't be this new presence in me of seeing so much that I like about myself that I never saw. And since then, you're here in my studio, and just to give listeners a little bit of so they can understand the development from that weekend of that totem, Kate's sitting in my bedroom, and since then it's been about colour and loving who I am and actually allowing the child that I never was able to be grow. So I'm 51 and I'm actually loving being a child. I'm loving the colour. The room that I've painted is teal and there's just colours everywhere. My artwork's everywhere and I don't care, but it makes my heart warm. And you've all come in here and this is since that journey and you're loving what you see.
Oh, because you've made it so welcoming and comfy. We're in these beautiful lounges. There's cushions and artwork in this little nook. It's really lovely.
Cool
Thank
nook.
you. Yeah.
This came about because of you. I was at the retreat and you had the podcasting equipment and like a moth to a light. I just, can I help? Can I do that? Can I? And
off you went.
And look,
you did a great job.
And I love it. I love having this conversation.
Yeah, and we've got the Stepping Stones podcast that you led organically and authentically and off the cuff. They're raw and real voices of survivors on our podcast. They're released.
Isn't it wonderful to be so wonderfully free just to talk, and you want that authenticity?
Because you don't get heard as a domestic violence victim, and I'm going to use that word victim because at that point in time you're not probably a survivor at that point. Well, you are surviving every day, but when you're there, you don't have a voice.
It's
you're silenced.
very powerful. Yeah, victim. And that's like a switch in your head.
You have to move out of that mentality.
I wasn't. I hadn't.
Well, people get stuck in their story and it's hard to move. It's not an easy thing. It's not easy.
I didn't know all these integral pieces without seeing abuse and control that's been placed, or it's the foundation. And seeing me for what I made and seeing me, it was the most uplifting transformation, transcending eureka moment.
When you saw your empowerment figure, so the empowerment figure for listeners is a part of the Stepping Stones program, and we do creative therapies. And what we did was we did a reconstruction of self using building a scarecrow to reconstruct self, to make the totem, to make the empowerment figure or the archetype, whatever anyone would like to call it. We didn't call it a scarecrow, but it's that building methodology, scarecrow building methodology to create. You call it a totem, someone else like the empowerment figure.
Empowerment.
It's a representation of you going forward.
I love that.
Yeah.
And that comes with 8 weeks of really intense structural stuff that we've got to get through, grief.
Boundaries.
Oh, my gosh.
Yep.
Yeah, and then at the end, doing that, it is everything.
And it was life-size figure, so that's why it's so powerful, because it's the size of yourself. So these empowerment figures were, 5 foot plus tall.
Yes. I know that we had an idea of where we're going to go, but we'll get there because this is interesting. How did you know that it would have this impact, this totem, this scarecrow? I mean, listeners, when we're talking about a totem, we're talking about Kate has arranged scarecrow figures. They're all based in their cement little pot plant things, so it's cement. And then she's come with all the materials. She's come with can you imagine just trying to create something and one person, a whole team has just put together everything you need to construct this over 2 days? Wow.
How did I know?
How did you know it would do that?
Because one, after being broken, because I had to rebuild myself. So how do you get to do that? Now, everybody needs to do it in different ways, but creating something, building something, reconstructing something, and then adding meaning to each piece. So in the process, you were asked to pick colours that represented what your future self would be like. You were asked to pick a hat that represented what your future self would or had meaning. Pieces of jewelry. So every item. Sorry, am I making you upset?
No, I can. If you're comfortable with this, let it out because it is. Please, keep going.
So every item that you were asked, like that you could choose and select from a room full of boxes of clothes and jewelry and scarves and hats and everything, needed to have a meaning. The earrings, the brooches, everything had to have a meaning of reconstruction. As you were reconstructing, because you're being physical, you're picking colour, you're doing creation, we had music, so you're looking at your whole self, and you're creating a representation of you life size. So you're looking at you, and then you also had to describe it in words. Then you had to speak it out loud. So we're trying to use every modality that we can think of to ensure that you're rewiring your nervous system and your brain to see you in a positive new light, and you can visualize it, feel it, touch it, see it, hear it.
Because every modality was controlled of me. So every single part of me, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically. Every part had to be reconstructed to see its own self-growth. And you talk about colour. Look at that.
Look at this colour in this room. It's beautiful. It's vibrant. It's happy. It's positive.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not good with words, but I can say that what you're sitting here is definitely a reconstruction, and it's growing. Yeah. You've come from Townsville.
Oh, yeah. We flew in. Andrew and I flew in. We arrived at 12:30 last night.
We talk about victims and survivors. And sorry, listeners, if you can hear a bird downstairs, that's my bird, Billy. And just for everyone to know, he owns this house. So you'll hear him pipe up a bit. I'm trying to get the family downstairs to get him organised. So just bear with me. But that just lost my concentration.
Townsville.
When I think about Broken to Brilliant, it's such a big umbrella. And this is very interesting because we're not talking about only survivors and victims. You've come from talking to police, educating police. Mm-hmm. I mean, oh my holy, tell me, what do you do? They're listening to you. What Broken to Brilliant is talking with police. What is this about? What goes on here?
So it's come from the investigation or the report into the police's domestic and family violence responses.
Bob went into that.
Did he?
Yes.
Great. So the report, A Call for Change, and recommendation 14 in that report says that it's recommended that the police have organisations and lived experience education for police recruits. And so I think there was 80 recommendations in the actual Call for Change report, and the government committed to in implementing every single one.
Yes.
So Broken to Brilliant have been contracted to deliver lived experience education to new recruits, plus the police officers that they're bringing in from overseas and other states into Queensland Police Force. So they've all got to go through our lived experience education. And so the Townsville session that we just came back from was session 24 with police. So we do it in Brisbane and Oxley, and we go to Townsville twice a year to deliver this 3-hour education session. And we were requested to present good scenarios and bad scenarios from a range of different experiences that survivors have had with police being involved in their domestic violence case. So we'll have females, males, same-sex relationships, mental health issues, children, and we present someone married to a police officer. So we will try and present good and bad cases and represent what could have been done differently, so that they can understand from, they call us the aggrieved position, and to see how we see it from their involvement, to give them some empathy and compassion into handling the scenario, so that it becomes less official and calculated and more, we can share what worked well and what didn't work well. And our aim is that we need them to help survivors, because survivors don't know what to do. They don't know how to handle this. They mostly don't know they're in a DV situation, and they certainly do not know how to get a restraining order and all the court things that they've got to go through. And so we explain that to them. We just give our lived experience raw and real.
Are you also helping them see signs, what they're to look for?
The red flags.
Yeah.
Because it's very hard. It would be very hard to identify who's the victim and who's the perpetrator, because many perpetrators are very manipulative and play a very good game of minimising, deflecting, shifting blame. And many survivors are in a retaliatory, angry mode at that moment when police are presenting. So it's very easy to misidentify who the actual perpetrator is.
Yes.
And so retaliatory violence is something that we've all done. And unfortunately, many women in jail are in there because of retaliatory violence, and it's not, and the pattern of behaviour over many, many years hasn't been taken into consideration. It's just been that moment in time. So it is very difficult for officers to do that in that spur of the moment, but we're trying to educate them around this is, if someone's charming, if someone's controlled, if they're saying, oh yeah, she's a bit mad, or things.
She's having one of her moments.
Yeah.
See what I have to put up with, officer?
Exactly. That sort of language could be a bit of a red flag. And I think the other thing that is also very useful, there is a lady that comes and presents her case, and her case went through a police ethical standards committee, and it also went through a coronial inquiry. So she can say, you didn't fill in, this form, you didn't code it correctly, and she's got all the right language because it's been investigated, it's been written up, because it's been through a coronial inquiry, it's public.
Yes.
And so there's no way the police officers can say, oh, well, that's just their perspective, because it's been investigated and a coroner has made the recommendations and said this is what's happened. And so they can't argue with that.
So now they have to look.
Yeah, so they and it feels to us that it makes a difference to the majority of police officers in the room.
Bob was mentioning, the more we talk about it, there's a big movement, and the more we talk about it, hopefully it'll get to the state where you're walking into an office building and just like a cigarette, you wouldn't allow it. That sort of awareness, or there's no thought to it, this is a crime.
And it now is with the coercive control laws, yes.
So here we have a real life experience, coronial inquest that they have to review and read.
Or listen to.
And listen to, okay. And now they've got to reconstruct how to go about being a police officer in this event.
Yeah, so we asked them to feed back to us about the session and if they valued it and if they found it valuable for their training.
Yeah.
And we got a great response from the session that we just did. We had 98% of the officers that we trained say that it was valuable to highly valuable, with the majority being highly valuable, and that, we get comments like, this will really make me think differently about how I do my policing.
Got you.
So we get some really valuable statements. And so their intent to change and to make a difference is definitely there.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go into a workplace, you also have to look at what the culture is in each individual workplace. So they will have a cultural challenge going out. But there's a definite shift.
Is there?
And we're just doing, so we've probably educated or shared our lived experiences with around 2,500 police recruits now. So we're hoping the ripple effect of that, of the recruits going into stations all across Queensland, is making a difference. And we just create this ripple of change and we just keep going. That's all we can do. We can only do what we can do, each individual officer at a time, each survivor at a time, and know that like a pebble in a pond creates a ripple, and that impacts the police around them or the family, and it just ripples out like that, and hopefully they are positive ripples of change.
Yeah, it's a huge movement, and that change in itself, just coming in as a survivor yourself, not having to, I don't know how I'd keep my cool if in front of police. It could be a trigger for me. And you go in there as an educator.
It's hard. We come out with headaches. It's exhausting.
Is it?
It's emotionally draining. There isn't a session that I don't come out with a headache.
Wow.
because we're retelling our story each time, and it is just, and we're trying not to listen to everyone else's story, but I listen to everyone else's story, and I ended up crying each story that gets told. But it's the reality of it. It's hurtful, and it's a hard period in our lives, so that's just the way it is. But I do that because the aim is to make a difference and make a change.
And are you a victim, survivor, thriver?
I think I oscillate.
Tell me more.
Well, I think you can always regress and go back.
Oh, God, I needed to hear that.
Of course you do. We're human. We're human. It's, you know, you can get triggered and you can throw back, and then you just have to go, okay, yeah, I see why I reacted. That was that. Because sometimes things bring up things that you forgot that were there because you bury them.
And it hits you too, even to this day?
Of course it does. It hits everybody, and forever and a day. It's a journey. That's why we call it a journey.
Andrea, very, very, yeah. Andrea's conversation journey, yeah.
Yeah, because we've got survivors that have come into our books and our programs, and they've been getting on with their life for 50 years and no one's ever listened to their DV story, and they've come in because they needed someone to hear it and no one's ever listened. So it can be that long. The thing is, you think you're going okay, and then something will happen and it'll be just this unearthing of something that you completely forgot, and then you just need to make sure you deal with that, reprocess it, reflect on it, do your self-care strategies, and move and get back on to being a thriver and survivor and flourishing. But of course, it's a roller coaster. Life's a roller coaster, up, down, and that's just we learn to do that.
Kate, it is with such wonderful hope, and it grows with listening to everyone today. The effect, the ripple effect, but calling out the perpetrator by putting light where they thrive, so that a survivor, a victim, can survive and thrive, and just putting a light in that darkness. It is so. It's given me hope, where justice is also asking, come on, we need lived experience. You go and do that. You do that for the Kate. You do it for somebody who 50 years couldn't. I'm a benefit. I benefited from Stepping Stones program. You've come back from Townsville. You've taken that on here at my house. Now, where do you get to? What do you get? When do you get to reboot?
I did just do a big trip to Cooper Pedy and had some holidays there on doing some research. So I try and build a little bit in, but my energy and rebooting comes from the fact that I can see the work having benefit.
Yeah.
That's my energy drive.
Yeah.
And if I didn't see that, then I wouldn't have the energy drive. But yeah, that's where I get my fuel. My fuel is from hearing the impact of the program, like hearing your story of how impactful Stepping Stones was to you. Like that gives me the energy to sit up to bloody midnight tonight to, write something up.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I do, because I'll think about that and I'll want to go and do things.
Yeah, well, it's done that to me. I've changed my life. I've become, for me, this has been a pilgrimage. And leaning into me has been about picking up my art, my music.
Great.
And it's so lovely to be there. And I'm 51. Who gets to say I'm only growing?
That's right.
I thank you so much. This is a wonderful charity. I've been affected by participating in the Stepping Stones, but more importantly, facing my traumas.
Mm-hmm.
Thriving and being amongst incredible people on the ground that are having a community, not across the water, Not third world. This is in our home. This is in our backyard. This is where we're at, and this is frontline stuff. So thank you.
Well, you've got to give yourself some thanks because you were brave enough to walk in the door of Stepping Stones. And that is not easy for anybody to, one, enroll in a program when you don't know anybody, two, to even walk through the door and get yourself there, which, you know, public transport driving to the program is hard.
Yep.
Walking up to the door and going, I don't know who any of you are.
This is important, everyone. These are huge factors in why and what it took for me to get here. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I had phone calls with people. We did little video presentations so that you could see who our lead facilitator, Fiona, was. We sent that out. We did text messaging to help welcome people.
My therapist called you.
Yep.
Because, you know, I wanted to feel safe and
yeah. So all of those.
All of that.
I mean, it's a huge ordeal to get to a program. We understand that because we've been to them ourselves. We know how hard it is to.
And do you know when I walked in that door?
I remember.
Everything just stripped away and I felt safe.
I saw it. I remember I was there. I happened to be there that day. And it was the same for each person that walked in. The look of terror walking towards the door and then seeing Fiona and then I'm saying, I'm Kate, I'm the one who's been talking to you. You could see everyone just shoulders relax.
Yeah.
Everybody just went.
Yeah. And it's, I know you talk about Fiona as Fiona's name. For me, Mama Bear.
Yeah. Yeah.
The mama that held me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It is inspirational to hear these stories and how people want to pay it forward, turning the Broken to Brilliant mission into a reality. You can listen and download the podcasts from the brokenToBrilliant.org website, where you will also find information about all our books and programs. By buying and reading our books, you support the charity, and the stories will help you recognise the red flags of abuse. You will be in awe of the strength and courage it takes for survivors to leave and rebuild their lives. All books in the series are available in print, ebook, and audiobook. You can send a message of hope and kindness by gifting a book to domestic violence survivors through the Give a Book program. Visit the website brokenToBrilliant.org to find out more. Thank you for listening.